In the dark shadows, in the white cold, fearlessly we search for knowledge new and old. We drink the strong spirits and read ancient tomes, the order of the Abercast. We are the brave and bold.
The Ages begins with the shocking story of Cain and Abel and the journey of violence and revenge spanning thousands of years, following Cain through his cursed life from an ancient invasion of malicious angels to the American Revolutionary War. A masterful, compelling journey through time, The Ages delves deep into arcane knowledge, myth, and legend. The art is stunning, and the story takes you on a journey where mortals, immortals, angels, and demons are all forced to deal with the folly that is God's creation. It's a beautifully dark and gritty ride through history. This 4-part story follows the astrological procession of the ages and how each 2,500-year age parallels major changes in the development of Earth's inhabitants. Cain's blasphemous struggle with the divine and sacred tyrant God will create and crumble empires, shape history, and cause a cosmic cataclysm.
When the moon is in the 7th house and Jupiter aligns with Mars, then peace will guide the planets and love will steer the stars. This is the dawning of the Age of Aquarius. Age of Aquarius. Aquarius, Aquarius. Harmony and understanding, sympathy and trust abounding, no more falsehoods or derisions, golden living dreams of visions, mystic crystal revelations, and the mind's true liberation. Aquarius, Aquarius. When the moon is in the 7th house and Jupiter aligns with Mars, then peace will guide the planets and love will steer the stars. This is the dawning of the Age of Aquarius. Age of Aquarius. Aquarius, 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 Aquarius. Let the sunshine in, let the sunshine in. Let the sunshine in, let the sunshine in. Let the sunshine in, let the sunshine in. Oh, let it shine. Come on now, just sing along. Let the sunshine in. Open up your heart and let the sun on in. When you are lonely, let it shine on. Got to open your heart and let it shine on in. And when you feel like you've been mistreated and your friends turn away, just open up your heart and shine it on in. The Age of Aquarius. The 5th dimension. Aquarius, Aquarius. Aquarius. Mystic crystal revelations and the mind's true liberation. Aquarius. Aquarius. Bow. Yeah. No, no, no. This is wrong.
The Abercast. Occult. History. conspiracy, violence.
All right. Well, I'm dealing with the glitch in the Matrix here. I don't know what's going on. Welcome to Abercast. I'm your host, John. I'm honored to be here. Hey, before I get going, I want you guys to know that there's many ways to support the show. I am honored that you're taking your time to listen to the Abercast, and I appreciate it. If you feel like supporting the show, a great way to do it is to buy some comic books. Look, I'm not here selling you boxes of granola that they deliver to your house or underpants. I am not doing that. But I am trying to get you to buy some comics. If you like the stuff we talk about on the show, then you probably would like some of the comic books. If not, you don't want to. If you don't want any comic books, then like and share, rate and review, please. Fucking somebody rate and review the show. If not, you could just share it on your social media, tell a friend about it, all that kind of good stuff. Anyhow, let's get done with that because this is going to be a longish episode, I think. And I'm going to the planetarium tonight to do a little sky watching myself. So we got to get rolling. This week's episode is going to link up a little bit with an episode way back. I think it was episode 12, which is a montage of different podcasts that I was a guest on when I was talking about my graphic novel. I talk a little bit about the, I try to stumble through an explanation of the procession of ages in that episode at least once or twice. So if you want to listen to me grind my gears and stumble through trying to explain it, you can go back. I think we could take it. We could tackle it a little bit more proficiently tonight. That's what we're gonna do. It's also gonna link in a little bit to the Moon episode, and then if we talked about Alister Crowley, it's gonna link in a little bit to Alister Crowley, but not too much because that guy's gonna get his own probably series of episodes eventually as we go along, as we move forward. So I'm taking a look around. I like to bash on millennials every now and again. I'm just taking a look around, on Facebook, on social media, on Twitter, on TV, on the news, whatever the fuck that means. And I start to kind of feel like shit is changing. The environment that we've operated on for a long time is shifting, and I'm not sure if it's because there's like people that are like grown-ups now that don't know what the world was like before the internet, or what exactly is driving like this change. It could just be the internet itself. I don't know. So I kind of was like, well, I started to look at a couple concepts to sort of hash through this. And like in some podcasts that you might listen to or might not listen to, I don't know, like they'll be talking about something and they'll just say like, well, it's the Aeon of Horus. You know what that means? And they'll just like blast past it. And you guys know that on my podcast, what I like to do is I like to give context to things. So I can't just throw out a term like, I want to look at the Age of Aquarius and look and examine kind of what these changes are like why people are making the choices they are. Like I read this little article about millennials saying that they would rather be in food lines in Venezuela where the communist system that they had is falling apart. Like it's not safe to be a zoo animal in Venezuela right now because they're butchering them and eating them because the system has just collapsed. And I read this thing about about millennial, like a poll or whatever study, millennials said that they'd rather wait in food lines in Venezuela than be a part of the capitalist system in America. And to me, I'm like, I'm a fucking, like, I'm a kid of the 80s. Like, I grew up in, like, the boom of, like, Reaganomics and all this. So, it's a sea change. Like, I look to the, not kids growing up, but I look to, like, these millennials, like, not to keep smacking these millennials or whatever, but I look at them and their decisions and the stuff that they say, and I'm like, I don't even, like, see, I can't even, like, recognize under there, so, like, I'm gonna get away from this right now, and I'm gonna just get right into the episode where I'm like, so I'm looking at this and I'm like, maybe there's some kind of answer out there, with this on the oncoming, like, the new age or whatever. So that's what we're going to talk about this evening. We're going to talk about we're going to compare, we're going to smash a couple ideas together. We're going to talk about it's where the New Age movement gets its name, the Age of Aquarius. We're also going to talk about the Alister Crowley's prophesized Aeon of Horus. And we're going to say, is one like the other? Is it the same? Is it different? We're going to compare and contrast between these two different sort of ideas, and I think that we're going to make them a little bit closer than you might think right off the bat. So what I want you to do is I want you to mix up your Jin Jihad. I want you to settle down, and if you're at work, put your earbuds in or whatever. Go ahead and roll around in some dirt, smear some fucking patchouli on yourself, do some bullshit Tai Chi in a park, because we're going to talk about the Age of Aquarius. All right, so we're going to be talking a bit about astrology. For our stated purpose, astrology is a 5,000-year-old Babylonian practice of studying the stars' movements to determine their influence on the planet and their inhabitants, I suppose. We are looking at the European tradition of horoscopes. Horoscope means looking into the hour. See, this is all context, everybody. Looking into the hour, the solar orbit cycle is divided into 12 parts. That's linked to the zodiac signs. Zodiac gets its name from a collection of animals, a zoo, which I think we already talked about. If you're a zoo animal in Venezuela, you're probably not long for this life. You're going to be ape steaks or something. So this Age of Aquarius isn't really astronomy. It is an astrological age, which occurs. Okay, so here we go. These ages occur because of the way Earth wobbles as it spins through space. The way we encounter these ages is called the precession of ages. It's not the procession of ages. That throws people off right out the box, because we all know, this is also assuming that there are 12 zodiac signs. I think that there are actually 13. I think one's missing. I think there's a missing zodiac sign called Ophiuchus, which is the serpent bearer. Again, if you're interested in this, you get my latest graphic novel called The Ages. We get into Ophiuchus, the serpent bearer, and we get into these zodiac signs. Anyhow, we all know that the zodiac goes Aries, Taurus, Gemini, Cancer, Leo, Virgo, Libra, Scorpio, Sagittarius, Capricorn, Aquarius, Pisces, in that order. But since we are in a since we're talking about the procession, not the precession, we are moving backwards through the zodiac. So every March at the vernal equinox, which is on or about March 20th, it's a few days before my birthday, y'all, in the northern hemisphere, because it's like September, I want to say like September 10th or September 11th or something in the southern hemisphere. But we're just going to talk about the northern hemisphere because it's confusing enough as it is. So, on the vernal equinox, which is on or about March 20th. Okay, hold on. There's 2 equinoxes and there's 2 solstices every year. There's a spring or vernal equinox and an autumn equinox. And then there's summer and winter solstice. So, the sun's position at the vernal equinox is aligned with the zodiac sign, and that tells us what age we are in. The whole cycle ends up being around about 25,800 years or so. Each age lasts. That's the whole, like I said, the whole cycle. Each age lasts about 2,150 years or so. And I keep saying or so. We're gonna get into why it's an or so instead of black and white. It's like it's not just flipping a light on. You're in Pisces, flipping a light off. You're in Aquarius. It's not like that. Each age, or each of these ages, are said to reflect some events that are directly caused or indirectly influenced by the astrological sign associated with that age. And then we're also going to get into a little bit of like what planet rules that zodiac sign, because that gets important, especially with Aquarius, as we're going to find out very soon. A quick side note that is going to become important later is astrologers do not agree upon exact dates for the beginning and end of ages, with a tolerance of a couple hundred. They have a tolerance of a couple hundred years. So to explain this, when the sun leaves Pisces, like the invisible line that is drawn around the stars that make up the picture of the 2 fish that we see, it doesn't move directly onto the invisible line that's drawn around the stars that is Aquarius, like that makes the picture of Aquarius that we see when we look in the sky. There's actually a little stretch between these two. So how on the nose does it have to be? I'm not sure, but right now they say that we get into these cusps and more of a blended transition more than just like overnight transitions. So you can see there's been a lot of debate, and then so then they go, well, there's a spread of dates, and you can find you can find generally like agreed upon like tolerance between them, like they're trying to make them equal so we can get like more of a blended kind of thing. But then it gets messier. It gets messier because Leo's star Regulus was moved to be part of Virgo. And if equal-sized zodiac signs are to be presumed, then the changes of the border between Pisces and Aquarius means that we went into the Age of Aquarius in 2012. Other people say that it was brought in by the birth of the 20th century. If you look hard enough, you'll find people that probably say that it started on Monday with the eclipse. To get back on track a little bit, there's a ton of great material out there about this stuff and how it plays in our myths and stories. Anybody that's seen the Zeitgeist movies or know anything about astrotheology, you can find, like I said, you can find a ton of stuff. I can't possibly tackle all that stuff here, not tonight on this show, but just to link it up a little bit, I have a relative example that I'm going to talk about from my book for just a moment. In the ages, I don't want to hear it about young earthers or whatever, but in my book, this is just as an example, just to show you like the way that at least I understand that it works. It's all structured around these ages. There's 4 chapters, and it starts with the Gemini chapter and ends with the Piscean chapter. Okay, so the book, there's a few prologues. There's a prologue that actually starts before Gemini. I'm just saying the first full chapter is a Gemini chapter. We start in the Leonian Age, which is like 10,000 BC to 10,500 BC. It's the age of God. This is the time where these cataclysms ultimately caused the habitable world that we live in. This is all the terraforming. Next is the age of Cancer. This is 8,600 BC to 8,600 BC to 8,006 BC. Haha. And this is the age of the Great Mother. It's linked to Adam and Eve in the book, birthing, nutrition, domestication of animals. Then we move on to the age of Gemini. It's about 6,450 BC to 6,006 BC. And this is the age of the twins, Cain and Abel in the book. Trades, towers, writing exists. The next is the age of Taurus. This is 4,300 BC to 4,006 BC. This is a time of the pyramids, worship of Apis and Mithras, which are both associated with bulls. The age of the Tower of Babel, the stubbornness of Nimrod. Then we get into the age of Aries, which is 2,150 BC to 2006 BC. This is the time of war, fire, the ram. Moses has been depicted with having horns in art, during like the Renaissance, and I really spent a lot of time trying to figure out why, and it all is because of this age of Aries thing. When he came down from Mount Sinai after getting the stone, after making the stone tablets with the 10 Commandments, and he saw these Hebrews worshiping the bull. What they were actually do, like the golden calf or whatever, what this is actually means in the Bible is that he comes down as like an avatar of this age of the ram, this age of Aries. And he comes down and sees people regressing. They're reverting back to worshiping this age of Taurus avatar, this golden calf. And he actually goes ape shit. He's like, kill these people, kill their fucking families, grind them down to their like paste. No. He didn't grind them down. He actually pulverized the bull. And had it ground down. Then he made them drink or like ingest the particles of the pulverized idol that they were building. It killed them. This is all in the book too. If you guys want to look at that. Also, the age of sorry, I just kind of got off on that. Also, like you look to like the walls of Jericho and the Hebrew army marching around Jericho and blowing the ram horns, and the wall fucking falls down. That's in the book too. And then we get into the age of Pisces, started at like 1 AD or 498 AD or 6 AD. It ends who knows when, December 21st. 2012, last Monday. I don't know. I don't know when it ends, but there's parts in the Bible where like Jesus is he and his disciples are described as the fishers of men. They had those little Jesus fish, the ichthos. He does like a lot of Dionysian feats where he turns water like into wine, or he walks on water. That's another one. The whole Christian era, the whole New Testament part of the Christian era is all like the age of Pisces up until today. Like Luke 22:10, he says, "Behold, when ye enter into the city." This is Jesus. Jesus is like, he's trying to prep his dudes because he's not going to be around anymore. And they're like, what do we do? Who do we follow next? And Jesus says, "Behold, when ye are entered into the city, there shall a man meet you, bearing a pitcher of water. Follow him into the house where he entereth." Luke 22:10. He's basically saying, go find the water bearer. Go find Aquarius. He'll help you out. Which brings us to the Age of Aquarius. Whenever it gets here, hold on. We're gonna take a small break. I need to lube up. You know what I'm saying? All right, so what exactly does this Age of Aquarius bring us? Wikipedia says, the age of freedom, technology, especially space travel and electricity, and the water bearer. There's an expectation that the Aquarian age will usher in a period of group consciousness. Marcia Moore and Mark Douglas claim that the lighting up of the earth artificially by electricity is a sign of the age of Aquarius. The age of Aquarius advances the purification of our inner spirit selves, affecting our outer physical selves, while also mirroring these purifying changes into the living planetary system and the noosphere as part of a cleaning or cleansing of self and the planet. The water bearer may symbolize widespread, transparent, peaceful, and neighborly and sustainable living. So let me ask you something right now. I'm going to talk to you and say, does that sound like that's what's happening on this planet? When you look at your Facebook feed, is this what you see? Part of a cleansing or cleaning of the self and the planet? Is this what you see? Do you see advances, a purification of our inner spirit selves affecting our spiritual selves? Is that what you see when you look around at the mall? Is this what the Age of Aquarius is bringing? Some other folks have a different. They say the Aquarian age. We might say that it sounds. It's like time to flip from intellectual problem solving to deal with issues using our intuition and our inner wisdom and our expanding consciousness. Is that what it sounds like that we're doing to you? So what is this now? What is this new age, hippy dippy view of the Age of Aquarius? What can we glean from its view in pop culture? Is it as the song goes from the cold open? Harmony and understanding, sympathy and trust abounding, no more falsehoods or derisions, golden living dreams of visions, mystical crystal revelations and the mind's true liberation? Is it like the song says? Is it peace will guide us? Peace will guide the planets and love will steer the stars? This Age of Aquarius has been looked at and sought after since the 60s, man. And as some sort of golden age of man. Is this what you see when you look around? When you see the light at the end of our tunnel? When you look at your Twitter feed, do you see spiritual enlightenment and illumination? Do you see people unifying? Do you see people living in an open society? Do you see free love and sharing? Do you see liberated people? I see people ruled by craziness and their own crazy bullshit. Do you see sustainability? Not just as a marketing fucking buzzword. I'm talking about, do you see sustainability? Do you see the end of selfish desire? Everything will be given freely, they say. Deeper understanding of the universe. Do you think that's what your Facebook page says when you look at it? People that you know, do you think they're getting a deeper understanding of the universe and expanding consciousness? When you think about your local college campuses, is this what you think that you're seeing? End of selfish desire. Everything will be given freely. Liberation. Free speech zones. No, like everyone being enslaved to this concept of being offended. Is this the oncoming age of Aquarius? It's looming as we leap off the cusp into this looming age of Aquarius. This is not what I see at all, everybody. You guys. Am I crazy? So I just went over, I had to calm down a little bit. I just went over a bunch of the positive traits or concepts that are expected from this coming age of Aquarius. But we have something else to consider. I mean, if you buy into the astrology, if you're a new ager and you're like, the age of Aquarius is going to be great. It's going to highlight the spiritual enlightenment. It's going to feature this illumination. It's going to have to do with our expanding consciousness and the unity of our society. And it will be open. It's going to usher in an era of free love and sharing, and everyone will be liberated. The chains will be broken. It'll be a sustainable culture. It'll be the end of selfish desire. Everything will be given freely, and deeper understanding of the universe will be had by all. But we have something else to consider. If you believe into this, astrologers and people who pay attention to this sort of stuff, in my opinion, needs to start warning these these new agers about Uranus. I had in my hand, like in my brain, that I was going to call it Uranus while I'm recording this, but I think that might get, okay, we have to consider Uranus. Uranus rules over Aquarius. And Uranus is one of the outermost planets, and it brings with it a new way of looking at things, and its approach is best met with the expanded consciousness. Originally, inventions, computers, cutting-edge technology, and the future events were all ruled by this planet. Uranus. It sees no need for a status quo, preferring instead to break with tradition and create a new mold. While the building blocks of science and electricity are safe here, this planet would rather focus its gaze on a new world order. To that end, rebellion, revolution, dictators, and an autonomous state and free will all fall under the aegis of this planet. To think about your Facebook page now, when you hear this, science and technology is safe, but it also brings this panopticon of the state. It also brings a new world order. It also brings endless rebellion and revolution. It brings dictators in the autonomous state. Now think about your Facebook page. Does this sound like where we are headed to you? As we are stumbling through this dark hallway, drunk, having to pee, trying to get to this new age of Aquarius, promised to us as an enlightened utopia of understanding and love, finally revealing itself as an authoritarian divide. Finally revealing itself as an authoritarian state, divided, homogenous, clearly, cheaply crafted, selfish panopticon, a police state streaming live on YouTube, where culture and history are meaningless and only pain is God. All right, we're going to shift gears here a little bit. Am here in the presence, for thou art everywhere, O Lord Horus, to confess humbly before thee my neglect and scorn of thee. How shall I humble myself enough before thee? Thou art the mighty and unconquered Lord of the universe. I am a spark of thine unutterable radiance. How should I approach thee? But thou art everywhere. Thou art hast graciously designed to call me unto thee, to this exorcism of art, that I may be thy servant against adept. O bright one, O son of glory, thou hast called me. Should I not hasten to thy presence? With unwashen hands, therefore I come unto thee, and I lament my wandering from thee, but thou knowest, yea, I have evil. If one blaspheme thee, I would therefore forsake thee. But thou art the avenger. All is with thee. I bow my neck before thee. And as once thy sword was upon it, so am I, thy hands. Strike if thou wilt. Prepare it, thou wilt. I accept me as I am. My trust is in thee. Shall I be confounded? This ritual of art, this 40 and fourfold invocation, this sacrifice of blood, these I do not comprehend. Is it enough if I obey thee decree? Did thy fiat go forth, my eternal misery? Were it not my joy to execute thy sentence on myself? For why? For all that is in thee and of thee is enough. If I burn up in the intolerable glory of thy presence, enough. I turn towards thy promise. Doubtful are the words, dark are the ways, but in thy words, in thy ways is light. Thus then now, as ever, I enter the path of darkness, if happily, so I may attain the light. Hail, thou who travellest in thy boat of Ra, abiding at the helm of the Aphet boat and of the Sektet boat. Thee I evoke. Thou about whose presence is shed in the darkness of blue, light, the unfathomable glory of the utmost ether, the untraveled, the unthinkable immensity of space. Thou who concentratest all the 30 ethers in one darkling sphere of fire. Thee I evoke. O thou who bearest the rose and the cross of life and light, thee I evoke. The voice of 5, the voice of 6, 11 are the voices. Abrahadabra. Strike the master chord. Draw the flaming sword. Crowned child and conquering lord, Horus, avenger. By thy name of Ra I evoke thee, hawk of the sun, the glorious one. By the name of Hamekris, youth of the brilliant morning, I evoke thee. By the name of Mao, I evoke thee, lion of the midday sun. By the name of Tum, hawk of the even, crimson splendor of the sunset, I evoke thee. Strike the master chord. Draw the flaming sword. Crowned child and conquering lord, horse, avenger. By the song I invoke thee. In my hand is thy sword of revenge. Let it strike thy bidding. By the sword I evoke thee. The voice of 5, the voice of 6, 11 are the voices Abrahadabra. Mine is the head of the hawk, Abrahadabra. I am the only begotten child of Osiris, thy father, and Isis, thy mother. He that was slain, she that bore thee in her womb, flying from terror of the water, Abrahadabra. I am he whose apron is of flashing white, whiter than the forehead of the morning. I have formulated my father and made fertile my mother, Abrahadabra. My garment is of golden glory with the azure bars of sky, Abrahadabra. I avenge the horror of death. I am the slayer of Typhon. I am he who didst lift my arms of the dragons of death, whereas dust. I am he who didn't raise my head in the crocodile of the Nile was abased before me, Abrahadabra. I am he whose nemesis needeth the universe with the night of impenetrable blue, Abrahadabra. I am he who travellest in the boat of Ra, abiding at the helm of Aftet boat and Sektet boat, Abrahadabra. I bear the wand of double power, Abrahadabra. My presence is shed the darkness of blue light, the unfathomable glory of the outmost ether, and the untraveled, the unthinkable immensity of space. I am ye who concentratest all of the 30 elders into one darkling spear of fire, Abrahadabra. I bear the rose and cross of life, and the light, Abrahadabra. Therefore I say unto thee, come forth and dwell in me, and that every spirit, whether of the firmament, or of the ether, or of the earth, or under the earth, on dry land, in the water, or whirling air, or rushing fire, and every spell and scourge of God, the vast one may be thou, Abrahadabra. This is evocation written by D.G. Matichak Jr. It's from a book called Pyramidos, Self-Initiation into the Age of Horus. Now, when you look at that, when you listen to these words and you kind of look at what's going on nowadays, is it a little bit more clearer? Is it a little bit more like? Is it a little bit kind of familiar? If you bump this up next to your Facebook page, or you bump this up next to the news, strike, strike the master chord, draw, draw the flaming sword, crown child, conquering lord, Horus the Avenger. I see social justice warrior all over this. That's just what I'm saying, dog. So I just read an invocation of Horus, and it does sound a little bit where we are heading, instead of harmony and sympathy and trust and mystic crystal revelations. So what am I talking about now? I'm shifting gears a bit, or maybe not. I don't know. I'm going from the Age of Aquarius to what is called the Aeon of Horus. So there's this religion called Thelema, and it's based on the Thelemic philosophical law, and it's the central tenet of Thelemic practitioners and their various organizations, the AA, the Golden Dawn, the Ordo Templi Orientis, is like Alister Crowley said in his the Book of the Law: do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law. Love is the law, love under will. See, a lot of people, when they talk about it, they just stop at what's the whole of the law. They forget this second part here where it says love is the law, love under will. So we're going to get into what this means in a little bit. We're going to dissect this out a little bit. Reading really takes it out, because it takes it out. All right, still good on time. All right, yep, we're going to run a little bit long tonight, guys. So I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on Crowley. Like I said before, he's a story for another time. But I'll sum him up by saying, if you don't know who Crowley is, he was an English writer, a magician, a spy, a painter, and he founded this religion of Thelema. And every time I say Thelema, I just think of that. Remember Marilyn Manson's first album, Portrait of American Family? He's got this song called Misery Machine, where he's like, my arms are wheels, my legs are wheels, and blood is pavement. And then it's like, do 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 do. And then he goes, you gotta ride to the Abbey of Thelema, to the Abbey of Thelema. That's what we're talking about. This is what he's talking about. He's talking about Thelema. And he's saying his arms are wheels, his legs are wheels. He can go wherever he fucking wants, which is the Thelemic law. This is the law of the Age of Horus. Or, sorry, the Aeon of Horus. I'm probably going to fuck that up a lot. So, the Aeon is a series of sections of history of mankind. Crowley identifies 3 of these Aeons. Flux is not one of them. So there's the Aeon of Isis, which is the goddess, the mother Aeon. This era of humanity was marked by pagan fertilities. It's the Aeon of the time of nourishment and newness. The next Aeon is the Aeon of Osiris. And this Aeon is the patriarch of, or the Aeon of the patriarch, the Aeon of a singular god, and it's also the Aeon of the sacrificed god. So we got a mom, we got a dad, so what's next? And then the Aeon that we are currently in is the Aeon Crowley believed he was the prophet of, and that's the Aeon of Horus, the Aeon of the crowned and conquering child, the Aeon of rebellion. So you can see why I kind of marry these two things together, especially when you throw Uranus in the mix. Crowley thought that the Aeon of Horus was ushered in at the beginning of the 20th century. And it is a time that is going to be dominated by childish principles. It's a time of selfishness and a time of self-realization and striking out on one's own. So, like I mentioned a couple seconds ago, it's the mother, the father. This is the way that he has structured these aeons. Is it's basically like an allegory of of a family unit, and the Aeon of Horus, the Aeon of the crowned and conquering child, is moving. He's become like this. Aeon of Horus is like us becoming teenagers. Like, we've seen all your wisdom, we understand it all, but we're rebelling. And then like the Age of Horus will hopefully be like, no, like if you're living under my house, you're gonna play by my rules. And the Age of Horus is gonna be like, no, I don't like all that shit, and I'm gonna make everybody into a raging asshole. So I got a couple things about the Aeon of Horus here. And it's funny, when you start looking at all this stuff, you'll see this symbol. It's kind of like a pentagram, but it's a little bit different. It's called a unicursal pentagram, meaning that you can draw it all without lifting your pencil up. So it's cool. It's actually a pretty cool symbol. If you look at it, it's you can find it everywhere. All right, so the Aeon of Horus. When men attune to the power of Horus, the liberator, and they inherit the freedom that they dream of, do they become debauched? Do they become perverted? Do they become immoral? As if somehow they're above right and wrong. I don't know. I think there might be a little bit of that. And Crowley goes on to say, Crowley says, no, they actually require greater discipline and order. The rebel's existence is not darkened by guilt or anxiety. That's, to me, people are like, oh, well, I mean, I guess that's positive. But to me, it sounds like it's not darkened by guilt and anxiety, not because he doesn't have it, but because he doesn't give a fuck about it. He's beyond right and wrong. He's turned into like a post-human. Like, you hear about crazy people that become so fucking crazy they're not even like human beings anymore. This might be what we're talking about. Alister Crowley says, "Do without wealth is the apotheosis of freedom." See, this is the pushback to what I just said, though. Like, is it post or is it after humanity? Is it post moralism? I don't know, but Crowley says this: "Do what thou will is the apotheosis of freedom, but it is also the strictest possible bond." In the Aeon of Horus, as expounded, I don't know if that's right. As prophesied, I don't know. The Aeon of Horus, as talked about by Crowley, men learn the principles of right rulership. True freedom ultimately involves considerable responsibility and discipline over oneself. So he is saying that he cut me off at the pass. It's not a matter of post-moralism. I don't know. That's something though. So, does this sound right? As we are wading knee deep into this Aeon of Horus, Crowley said that the 20th century ushered in the Age of Horus. So we're already kind of, like I said, knee deep into it. Is it the time of the petulant? Is it the time of the crowned and conquering child? Think of now what I want you to do. Now I want you to think of your social media. Now what I want you to do is think of your protests and think of all this PC bullshit that's everywhere. It kind of feels like we are living in the age of the spoiled child to me, the entitled spoiled child. So are we comparing apples and oranges here when we take into consideration the Age of Aquarius and the Aeon of Horus? Are we talking about the same thing? Are we talking about different things? Apples and oranges or apples and apples? Meaning, are we looking at two parts of the same thing? I'm not the first one to come up with this link between the Uranus-ruled Age of Aquarius and Crowley's prophesized Aeon of Horus. Lon Milo Duquette once commented on the connection of these two, and he said, yes, the Aeon of Horus is coincidental to what astrologers and songwriters call the Age of Aquarius, and what millions refer to simply as the New Age. But it would be a mistake to view this new Aeon simply as another tick on a great cosmic clock. The Age of Aquarius, profoundly significant as it is only one aspect of the far greater spiritual age. As if to say or imply that the astronomical age is a ticking clock, but the aeons are a cumulation, pushing or elevating of man's very conscious to find his true will. I don't know. There's a lot to be said. This is something this guy, Frater Aked, wrote on the purpose of the new Aeon and the coming of Horus. Thus, at his coming in 1904, he found the race in a state of definite retrogression. Civilization met him as he advanced in triumph, and millions fell without understanding what was happening. He still drives ahead in his chariot, and millions more will feel his force and fire until the race recognizes that it must about face and cheer this conquering hero on. Then we shall have peace and rejoicing, and the stern warrior will seem as the gentlest child. And Crowley writes in Magic Theory and Practice, he writes of this coming Aeon of Horus. There is a magical operation of maximum importance, the initiation of a new Aeon, when it becomes necessary to utter a word, and the whole planet will be drenched in blood. Before man is ready to accept the law of Thelemic, the great war must be fought. This bloody sacrifice is a critical point in world ceremony of proclamation of Horus, the crowned and conquering child, the Lord of the coming Aeon. Drenched, covered in blood. It's fascinating that these two concepts in half steps or moderations might maybe do us a little bit of good, a little bit more aware, a little bit more sympathetic, a little bit more generous, and overall a little bit more free. A little bit more freedom will go a long way. However, if you throw the Uranus factor in the mix, and if you throw a crown and a little conquering in there, you get a little petulance and a little more sharing and less knowing, a little bit more intuition and less logical reasoning. That's good, yeah. You know, you take a look at these campuses, and you take a look at your social media, and you take a good look at these protests and kneeling football players and women with pussy hats on. And hell, I'll even throw in tweeting presidents and reality TV. Not to turn this whole episode into an old man get off my lawn rant, sort of bitching about everything. But given this evidence or these ideas, it is sort of difficult to look at what's coming and feel good about it. You know, I mean, can you? Do you see a happy ending to this societal change? I don't know, bro. So I know you're probably like, dude, everybody thinks this when they become an old person. I don't know. I don't think you can look at America in like 1941 and use it to focus or filter this Age of Aquarius stuff or this Aeon of Horus information. It just wouldn't make sense like it does today. I mean, when you listen to all the shit that I just said, or when you look into it yourself, please do. Let me know if you find any other good stuff. And then you look at what's going on today, and it does make sense. And who knows? It might be a good thing. I mean, looking at it to usher in some sort of impossible utopia without the authoritarian structure seems unlikely to me. Or the self-awareness of these kids to put away their outrage, fake or otherwise, and elevate their conscious and sense of self. That they can let the feelings and opinions of others go and not be offended by every little fucking thing. You know, yeah, it could. That might be. It doesn't seem like we're going that way. Does it seem like we're going that way to you? If I had to guess, hell, I'd say the age or the aeon is the beginning of the end of reason, if not our civilization. And the very least, our culture. But hey, that is why I don't have kids. My hands are sort of off the steering wheel for this thing. If I could live long enough to finish a few more books and maybe catch the next handful of Marvel movies, I won't complain too much.
Vienna, 1683. Today is September 11th, 1683. The mighty army of the Ottoman Empire, led by the savage and radical terror troops of the Dar al-Harb, surround the walled city of Vienna and begin a siege to break the golden apple of Europe and kill, enslave, or convert all of its inhabitants. The valiant citizens stand against the tyrannical army with the steadfast leadership of Count Ernst Rudiger von Stromberg, the help of the ever-living rebel, Cyrus, the Dead Guy, and the hopes of the faraway King Jan Sobieski III and his army of flying hussars. The Vienna 1683 comic is available right now from Stigmata Studios at stigmatastudios.com and on indieplanet.us. The Non-Standard Squad, 1944. World War II. 3 weird American soldiers are on a search and rescue mission into the oldest and darkest regions of Europe. A cursed, ever-living warrior, Cyrus the Dead Guy. An experimental warbot, Sergeant Lane McCord. An all-red axe, mysterious rogue with a demon-possessed arm come face-to-face with an army of magically corrupted machine-obsessed elves, a magic hammer-wielding Norse Ubermensch, and a Nazi wizard who is a member of the ancient Dark Order of the Shining Hexagon. The Non-Standard Squad 1944 comic is available right now from Stigmata Studios at stigmatastudios.com and on indieplanet.us.
All right, but it's worth the fight. It's worth fighting for. So as I sit here, drunk in my studio, warning you of hippie songs and ancient star pictures and writings of a drug-addled wizard, I do think it's worth fighting for. This is why I'm telling you this. This is why I'm talking about it. I'm not suicidal, you know. I've just seen a lot of things. So with that, we're going to wrap this up. Oh, God. What? No. I know. I didn't draw them. I didn't do a magic circle on the floor before I did the invocation. I meant to. So, everybody go ahead and support the show, please. I know you're like, it's just a guy talking to himself for like an hour, but there's actually a lot of research that goes on into this. I spent a lot of time away from my work to do this. Not saying that you owe me anything. I'm just saying it'd be nice for a little bit of support. A little bit of just reach out and slap me on the back or something. Nice job, champ. Good to have you out there fighting the good fight. Little pat in the butt. A rate and review, please. I'd like that. You can support the show in many ways. You can purchase a couple comic books. You can rate and review the show. You can share on Facebook or social media. You can actually just reach out and just say hi to me. Yo, bro. Thanks for helping me get through my fucking shitty work day. That'd be great. I fucking love doing it. I feel honored that I have so many people listening to this. It's so awesome. So there's that. If you're wondering what to listen to next, you can always go to society-13.com. We have plenty of great shows out there. I think the Queens of NC-17 are coming back pretty soon. We have The Lift, dramatic storytelling. We have The Wicked Library, also dramatic storytelling, both horror. If you guys like this, you fucking love the stories and stuff over those two podcasts. There's the Prog Watch with the Prog Squatch if you're into progressive music. There's the Pop Off with Martise if you guys like pop culture stuff. It's actually a great, it's fun podcast. You go to Kettle Whistle Radio. If you like the horror scene and indie bands, there's tons of great stuff over there. History goes, I don't know if History Goes Bump is over there. There's tons of great stuff over there. Go check it out. Dangling After Dark, the Caveman Mafia. You can find a bunch of great stuff. If you guys like porn, I got a podcast for you. Dangling After Dark. There you go. All right, so there I did that. Last thing I'd like to mention is stigmatastudios.com. There's a ton of links to all my social medias there. My Instagram's been hot. That means that I've been using it a lot. Anyhow, I got to wrap this up because I'm taking the wife to the planetarium, and it's going to be fun there with that. So we're going to get going. I got a treat for you guys for the end of this episode. Topical. It's topical. There's an Australian band out there called Aeon of Horus, and I reached out to them. They gave me permission to play one of their songs to close out the show. So check them out. Aeon of Horus. I put a link to their Bandcamp in the show notes. This song's called Symbiosis. Thanks for listening, you guys. I appreciate it. Come on back now, you hear?